So exercise 14 is a familiar type of problem. We've seen the exact same thing over and over again, and here it is again. Here's a mileage issue, the number of miles that a new electric hybrid car can travel, and we don't care that it's a hybrid car or any of that stuff. That's just confusion. There's a number of miles related to the speed, and here's the equation. The miles equals this function of the speed. This is here to confuse you here. The velocity has to be between 0 and 100. Of course it has to be above 0. You can't have negative velocity, in this case anyway. And in this case they set the upper limit of 100, which is actually quite irrelevant. Anyways, for what speeds will m be at least 40 miles per gallon? Well, to do a diagram of this, what we're going to see on our graph here is that the mileage m, well, let's write the equation out here. M equals negative 1 over 20 v squared plus 9 over 2 v. So that's the equation for the function, and if we were to graph it, we'd have some kind of a parabola like that. This is a negative number, so you know it's a downward facing parabola. And the question is, when is it going to be at least 40? So if we type 40, put 40 in there and we draw that across, we're looking for this interval here between here and here. Obviously, if you're going too slow, you've got inertia and your mileage is bad. When you get up to a certain speed, your mileage is better. You get more distance out of the same amount of gas or whatever. And as you try to go super fast, of course, your mileage decreases again too. So we're looking for this interval here, and if we go down from these points to the x-axis, this x-axis of course is our velocity. What is this number here and this number here? And that's our question. So if we solve for v in this, let's recognize first of all that the mileage is the same as this. These are equal to each other. That's why there's an equal sign. And the question is, when is it at least 40? So at least to me means greater than or equal to. So greater than or equal to 40. So that then becomes the inequality that we have to solve. Negative 1 over 20 v squared plus 9 over 2 v greater than or equal to 40. And for simplification, I'm going to move all this junk here over to the right hand side. If I move this to the right hand side, this will become positive, and whatever happens to this happens to that. So let's just do that. Let's leave 0 on the left hand side, which is greater than or equal to 1 over 20 v squared. It's lost its minus sign, minus 9 over 2v, and the 40 is still there, plus 40. And to get rid of the fractions, I'm going to multiply both sides by 20. 0 times 20 is still 0. And 1 over 20 v squared becomes v squared, minus 9 over 2v multiplied by 20 gives us 90v, plus 40 times 20, and 40 times 20 is 800. And this can be factored. Oops, this is a 90. There we go. That can be factored because 90 is 80 plus 10, and 80 times 10 is 800. So 0 then is greater than or equal to v minus 10, v minus 80. And so that tells us that we can make this statement true by plugging in a 10 over here or plugging in an 80 over here. And if that's the case, we can push this down to a number line. If we're down on a number line with a 0 there, that would be 10, and this would be 80. We know that at 80 or at 10, the mileage is going to equal 40, because that's what's shown here. And anywhere in between, I don't have to test this region. I don't have to test a number in here or out here or out here, because I understand this, and I understand that this is where it comes from. And so this was 10 and this was 80. Here we're just looking at it in one dimension without the y-axis and the graph of the actual curve. But this is what I'm looking at. This would be the graph of the actual acceleration, and this is the algebraic way of figuring out that it's between 10 and 80, and it's 10 works, 80 works, so those are included in the solution set. So we're going to say that v can be greater than or equal to 10 or less than or equal to 80. And that fits within the other restriction here. The other restriction, remember, was that v had to be greater than 0 and less than 100, and certainly 10 and 80 are within that range as well. So that's our solution.